Welcome to Kanoi Wanyayi broadcast with Sangwadzi Spiwe Kachiza Mafumo. We're back this week with another person, another ordinary person who's doing extraordinary work. My guest today is Yaya Rudo Dzenga. I asked her to come in to talk to us about etiquette. So we'll be talking etiquette here, how to do things properly, what not to do, what to avoid, and please, what to avoid, because there are certain things that we do on a day-to-day basis and we don't really think it's wrong. Yaya, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Good, good. So before we waste any time, Yaya Rudo Dzenga has a very impressive experience. She worked in the banking sector, she worked in corporate world, and she decided to get on with her Facebook page. I saw her on Facebook and I followed her for a little while, and I thought, let me invite her to Kanoi Wanyai because I think our guests, our followers would like to hear this because it's very important. Yaya, tell me, how did you get into this? Who is Yaya Rudo? This is interesting because today we have Yaya and Sangwadzi. You know, Yaya is sister, right? It's a respect for
This
sister.
also.
And I'm from Mutoko, and Sangwadzi is a beloved aunt, so it's sister and Tete right now. So tell me, you are from Mutare, but give me a little background of who you are, and how you got into this.
Okay. So Yaya Rudo ndiri kwaMutare. Takakurira kudanga mvura in Mutare. That's where I grew up, and then I went to Harare ku college nekuzotanga kushanda in Harare. But I'm sure you will tell from my heavy accent good I'm a real Samanyika. Even if you were to throw me to Canada, you will still feel and experience that heavy summer's accent. It doesn't matter where I go.
And we
The
love it.
etiquette thing,
And we love
yes.
it.
Thank you so
That's
much.
that's the whole idea of Kanoi Wanyai. We like to stick to where we come from, proud of who we
Mhm.
are, and again we speak in Chibuja, Chindau,
Uh-huh.
Chirungu, everything because we have our followers from our home areas who also like are proud to have their own people, talk about things that matter to them.
Exactly. This also.
So tell
So
me. Mhm.
in terms of kutanga kuti zvakatanga sei, it started by chance really when I was dating my husband, tichiri boyfriend and girlfriend, where I was late for a date to watch a movie and I was late twice. The first time he was, kind of okay with it. The second time I could tell this guy is upset and I couldn't figure out, I mean, what's the big deal? Chero ndasvika, you know. So he went to just briefly tell me that, you look disorganized, keep time. And he explained to me the importance of keeping time, not only as a student, but as a future leader, a future manager, supervisor. So to me, it was a Damascus moment, a point of revelation. Time is very important now. And also the tegi kuti vanhu vatema hatibati time. So when I started, I was just going out encouraging people to keep time, the etiquette of time. That's how it started from a late date.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out fine in the end, and it also it brought out a certain passion in you in something, teaching moments to people, right? And yeah,
Exactly,
so
yeah.
I follow you on Facebook, and some of those little snippets, they are really really interesting because I've heard you talk about people, what people say when they go kumariro kunamo, and they ask zvisinani basa
Mm,
rese, and
mm,
keeping time is really unnecessary, and not keeping time and keeping time too much, and ninga hapo ninga didi. So that's interesting, but let's start with the corporate
mm,
culture, the corporate etiquette.
mhm.
Go there and tell me really, what are you saying in terms of the corporate culture, because it's different from our day to day, right?
This also. So for
Talk
me,
about
again, I want to take you back to where I grew up. I grew up in the ghetto. And then suddenly there I was, a head of the diplomatic community. And I realized that there were a lot of things that I had to adjust, a lot of habits that I had to unlearn because I was not going to survive the corporate world ndikaramba ndakabatirira kune tusika itwotwo, tumwe twacho tunoita kunga tusina basa, like kuseka, for example. Inini ndinoseka, I don't want to lie to you, kana ndanakirwa ndinoseka. But kana corporate world hazvichaitika, wangoita like a lady. So those small things I had to adjust, but I can't just laugh loudly. I had to manage my personality. I'm quite loud. I also had to adjust things about my character in order to fit in to the corporate world. It was necessary. Then, of course, things like dressing. You realize kuti pane kamwe kamupfekero kanokunyimisa promotion in the workplace. You are smart, you have the relevant qualifications, but kamwe kadressing kamunhu anofunga kuti company vanofunga kuti uyu angatirepresenta here achipfeka zvakaita so, wotomisa maopportunities just from the dress, the way you dress, the way you present yourself. So it's small things, but twanga tutorine impact on my everyday life. So I also started teaching the etiquette, just basic etiquette in the corporate world, kana to move business.
Because you pointed out something very important, though it's not only women, right? Because sometimes you're really looking hot and really sharp, but overly, just the wrong place to dress like that. You're expected to have a certain demeanor, yakubasa, and you, it's different when wakachienda kuenda nightclub. And you've got chandeliers for earrings, they're looking pretty, and you've got all this sexy, and part of your body is out. It's okay for nightclub, but definitely not for corporate. I mean, it's no, it doesn't work. You pointed out something, and men as well. Talk about men, because we talked a little bit about women and they're dressing properly and something acceptable. In corporate world, there's a group of men. That's okay. You go and drink every day. They go and drink after work. Vanoita kamweya kaya kedoro kabrewery smell. And munhu anouya kubasa and ari kuuya kumeeting and akagara nevamwe vanhu and pari kuita kanhu kakadaro. Timbotitaurira about men and what needs to be taken care of, which they might not realize.
This also, and it's not just the brewery, it also could be just general order yako, body order yako, but you have to be sensitive to how you smell. How are you being experienced by the people around you? Because it's not about you. Etiquette is always about the other people. Saka iwe unogona kufunga kuti akuwawa idoro zvine basa here. Zvine basa kune those around you. So it is doro, it is also your breath. Esi vanhu vatema tinonyaraka kutaurirana kuti mukanwa muri kunhuhwa. So you have to be mindful, whether you're a man or a woman, you have to be mindful of your breath and your armpits. Ndogara nchiti head office yesmero isina kunaka is the armpits. You really have to be conscious of it. And hazvina basa kuti murume, hazvina basa kuti mukadzi, kana kuti uri mupriest or pastor wekuchurch, kaproblem ikako carry everywhere. So you have to be deliberate about it, especially given kuti we are not comfortable telling each other kuti you're not smelling nice. So,
but Yaya, how do you tell somebody that you've got a body odor? Do you use are you using deodorant? I know it's sometimes it's people who are very close to you all the time, and there is this underarm thing. Like my mother used to zvakampotsa wezuzo. I don't know. Unotaurira munhu say that take care of your underarm.
Okay. Kana kuri ku corporate world, they actually have a desk for that, especially my fairly big companies. They have a desk for that, almost like a help desk, where unoenda kunotaurawo privately. They know how to deal with their employees. But socially, I think it is also our responsibility to talk to anyone and a problem here, as long as we are doing it from a place of love.
Mm.
In I always teach people it's very difficult for us black people to tell each other now something not smelling nice. So if someone comes to me and says, yeah, hey, you must be grateful, because that person, sure, they had to dig deep to find that courage to come and tell you. So the onus is on you, arikutaurirwa, and also on the person arikutaura kuti arikutaura from a place of love and trying to help. But for the little ones, I also encourage parents, let's talk about this. Let's demystify this thing
Mhm.
about body odors, because that is where the problem is. Vana vakatotanga zvichinyarwa kutaurwa in their family, they will never tell anyone, nor will they be able to check their own, bed breath or body odor isiri right. So it's important kuti even pamba ngatingozvijairira kuti iwe wangochitamba bhora ndonogeza, you're not smelling nice. Let's make it normal, sezvatinongoita tumwe tutsika twatinodzidzisana kuti say thank you, say pamusoro.
Mhm.
Let's do the same thing.
Mhm.
You're not smelling nice, go and freshen up. Ngavazvijairire vari vana, because vana vedu, they learn from us. So we need to be careful of what we are passing on. Tiri kuita pass on tumwe tuma habits tichingoomesa zvinhu zvisina kunyanyooma.
And I would like also to think to talk about to tell a corporate, but also in general. I know we're
Yeah,
going in and out of corporate and just in general, because
yeah.
the deportment and it's I think it's also
Mm-hmm.
very important to kudzidzisana kuti mbatya dzamakupfeka mainini, it's a little too over the top, and tone it down. And again,
Mm-hmm.
it comes from a point of love, a place of love. When you tell somebody, that's a lovely evening dress, but I'm not quite sure it will work for a conference, you know. Or the
Yeah.
jewelry, that's pretty, but it's really not right for work. As and this.
This also. Even
Okay.
communication communication chayo in the office at the corporate level. Sometimes we forget kuti you don't have to shout to prove a point or to demonstrate that you are right or this is what should be done. You need to tone it down. You can't be shouting and screaming in a board meeting or in a daily activity or strategy meeting. But generally, again, you need to understand your personality. In Indonesia, I am a loud person. So I have to be very deliberate when I'm in a
Mhm.
meeting, not to shout. And I
Yes.
could shout, I'm angry. Shout good points, but you don't have to raise your voice. Just so it's not easy for me, but I am aware of it. So knowing yourself is also going to be important in understanding etiquette. You are not like the other person next to you. Know who you are and know your weak areas and work on them. So
Yeah.
zvakanakira with etiquette, you can learn, you can unlearn. Kana decide that
Yeah.
I'm going to improve around my dressing, around the way I speak, my ability to reply to emails. I'm going to be replying to emails within 24 hours. All those little things add up to good manners.
I know it's all about learning, relearning, and unlearning. It's all very
Mm-hmm.
important, like you pointed out. And you mentioned something about responding to my emails, to my even my text messages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know I'm hearing a little clicking sound at the back, but let's carry on, because I think the conversation is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Let's talk. Yeah, talk about nyaya yekupindura my emails, my text messages, those kind of things, because I think they say something. A response says something, or
Exactly, because sometimes again we end up saying, vanhu vasukundisapota, people are not coming in to buy from me, but it's because what feel being experienced is professional. So Why are you taking 7 days to reply to an email? You should have some basic service level standards. Email inopindurwa within 24 hours. SMS inopindurwa within 3 hours of receiving it. So if you are not able to be on your toes as far as your customer is concerned, why should I continue to buy from you?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be
Mm-hmm.
responsive and stick to these timelines. Zvitori standard service level standards whether uri kuNew York or kwaMzarabani, it should still be the same because you are in business. Saka, it reflects on you when you don't respond on time. Kana wakusiya
Because
wakudzoka wakuti guys hamusi kundisapota,
mm,
you are not also acting like a professional.
mhm. And it says something even day to day. You sense it says something about your respect for the person akutumira an email or a text message, and you go for weeks or days without
Mm,
responding. And like with text message, you can tell a person has seen it,
yeah.
but they choose not to, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So I think personally, I take great exception to that, because by not responding, you are responding. You are saying you're not
Exactly.
important. Mhm, mhm. You're saying
This
you're
also,
not
you're saying
important.
you don't matter, you can wait.
Hmm.
Yeah. Same applies with time. If you are
Hmm.
not committed to making the time or keeping the time, it means you are sending a message that you don't really matter.
Hmm.
Because we
Hmm.
know that when things are important to you, you make time. You wake up at 4, you wake up at 3 to make sure that you catch the 3 combis to the meeting because
Hmm.
it's important. So no one wants to work with someone wekuti hauzivi kuti keke remuchato richauya musi wemuchato here kana kuti after muchato. No, because you're not reliable. You don't know
Lack
how
of
to manage
communication.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. I think we've touched quite a bit on it. Time goes so fast. We've talked a bit about corporate. Now,
Mm-hmm.
tell me about some of the issues that the snippets that I've seen on Facebook. You're talking about there's one which really made me laugh about kuchurch. Munengaenda
Yeah.
kuchurch. What are some of
Uh,
those things ratinoita take for granted, kana kuti mibvunzo yatinobvunza vanhu, which are
mm-hmm.
so wrong? I will give you a good example. Munhu anokubvunza kuti, are you married? Take
Mm-hmm.
it from there and tell us some of those things. I mean, really.
It is also, you've just reminded me, one of my friends was telling me, atori kuUK, kuti akabvunzwa pakubuda mucheche vanhu vanokwazisana, zvikanzi munonzi mai ani, akandonzi mai, let's just say mai tatenda. No, mai ani, like they are insisting that you have to be a married woman, or other surname yemurume or something. It's not good enough to be mai tatenda. Mai ani wacho chaiko chaiko, vakomana. It's not right. It's supposed to be a place where people feel comfortable and happy to be around. So we need to be sensitive to some of these questions, especially kana kuri kuchechi.
People
Especially
should
if you
know
want to
things
get
that
discouraged.
are personal. Or
Yes.
I've met a couple of people, they've never met you. Oh, it's nice to meet you. Are you a Christian? What
Mm,
what is that supposed to do?
mm,
And if you're not, then what? And
mm,
what is the point? What is it that you add any value to me or less value to me? Those are some
mm.
of the questions. And you talked about vanhu vanobvunza manhige vana. That was so funny. My kids, my results, I to come out.
Hey,
Which
again,
one?
this also, you have not asked or contacted this person during exams, paanga achitanga grade 8 or whether iri form 1 or grade 7, hauna kana kumbobatikana. But somehow when the results are out, you're calling to check. No, it's poor manners. You can't do that. If we don't tell you, there's a reason why we are not telling you. So if you as someone are genuinely concerned about someone's results, then you'll be interested from the day they want to tanga grade 7. Mwana grade 7 zviri kudiwa, kana wakuzofonawo kubvunza results hazvivhundutsi. because you have been involved already. But some of these questions, you can tell kuti it's not out of love. I may not pano zvimwe zvazviri kubvunzirwa, but it's not coming truly from a place of love.
Do you think people are like that though? They
I
fail
don't
to learn or to relearn, or what do you think? Why? What makes our people do that? I don't want to speak about other people, but I'm talking about in our culture. Why is that so? Is it part of our socialization, or what is it?
I think it's both, and maybe also just real ignorance. Because you see, etiquette kazvekuti pamusoro yemazvita makadii zvataidzidziswa, vabereki vedu, they were passing on what they experienced themselves. So they can't teach you manners that they have not been exposed to. Kana vasina vambokwira ndege havangakudzidzisi etiquette yemundege. So
Sure.
they can only teach you zvavanoziyawo, and they did a good job. But I think because of the exposure and the diverse cultures that are now interacting today, it's important for us to revisit how we have been doing things. Maybe it was okay long back kubvunza kuti vana muchaita rini. Maybe it was okay. But now that we know better, we realize that actually kune fertility problems. Unogona kubvunza munhu kuti vana muchaita nguva rini, iye atotambura the last 5 years, vari kutotraya zvichiramba. So some of these things is really out of ignorance or takatoshaya exposure. And lastly, maybe kungowa too inquisitive, kudongozisisa and yet not knowing my boundaries.
I think
Yeah.
that's the bottom line. My boundaries, knowing kuti it's none of my business. That's the one bit I noticed, kuti, not realizing kuti it's none of your business. And why are you asking the person? How is that person going to feel? As you said earlier on, it's not about you. It's how people relate now. How are they feeling about this conversation or whatever you're doing, or questions, right?
Exactly. One example that comes to mind is the issue around hospital visits. Iyoyo inotondishoka. Munhu akakutaurirai kuti makumbo ndo ari kurwadza, unotozwa umwe kuti tione muhospital, uda kuona chaipo kuti no, it's poor manners. Kana munhu akati makumbo ari kurwadza uchinatsoona kuti ari kunyepa, haasi makumbo, there's a reason why they've not told you whatever the truth is. Yeah, so we must just accept zvataurwa izvozvo. Then there are others who vanobva kutoita a step further, kutotora mapicture nemurwere, social media warriors, vakutotora mapictures nemurwere. Again, kushaya maboundaries. They don't ask you, they just start taking pictures. Before you know it, my pictures emurwere, they are all over Facebook or the internet. It's not right. It's poor manners. So we
But I
have
think
to
they
continuously, it's almost like could a self-edit or audit. You audit yourself. How am I doing as far as where is concerned? What is my behavior like? Where do I need to unlearn and learn new things? Because my boundaries are an issue. And sometimes I'm breaking the boundaries here.
You know, enyaya yekuti wawe tiri pahospital ipapo nekuona varwere, I think people should refrain from marara seiko, munenge mauya muri 6, muri kunzwa sei. You exhaust munhu ari kurwara. You don't need to say anything. Sometimes you just need to hold their hand. You know, it's okay. Muri kudya madya here munhu ouya ndaswedera padhuze ndini mandiziwa mandiziwa. Those are some of the very mandiziwa madya here and muri kunzwa sei, one after the other.
I think but sense kekuti I have to say something, in the end you're just filling in the words that are repeated over and over again, but in reality you're just filling in zatotaurwa kudhara.
Yeah, you please just hold a hand kana ari munhu ausinganyari kumubata ruoko rwake kana munhu achirwara, hold their hand, and ndauya kuzokuona, and that's enough. Please don't
That's it.
exhaust munhu ari kurwara nekuvabvunza. Saka madya,
Mm.
anenge ari padrip ipapo, madya muri kudya here?
Yeah, this also. And I know, I think we also tend to forget the reason why we are there. We are there to speak life, to encourage, and bring hope. Kune munhu asikunzwa zvakanaka, not kutomusiya aneta because of our attitude.
I've been to see someone at Kurwara with two people, and there were two separate prayers which were done. And I personally was like, Tazizwa, please don't exhaust this person. My ningi, then another one. And you know what? I think Basa the Rauru Kuita Yaya, it's very important. We have to bring it closer to ourselves and learn some of these things and
It
relearn
is
new
also.
things,
Mm,
and learn to acknowledge what I picked up from the conversation that I've had with you is learning my boundaries.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah. And when Kunyarara says a lot, and you look more dignified by, and just holding someone's hand, kana muri mukunyanya kuma hospital. And kuma church, please,
mm,
musabvunze vanhu kuti, are you a Christian? It's very rude. It's very
it is
rude. I,
also.
I don't, yeah, and it puts the person in a corner. Kana asiri. And Mona akakupindura kuti, no, I'm not. You should say,
Then what?
I'm pinda church ipi. Why? But this one
Exactly,
is
exactly.
wonder everybody if one is keen on going to a church. And I don't think
Mm,
could recruit abantu. I think it's putting people in a corner, and that's really bad manners. It's
mm,
very bad manners. Yeah. Aywa. No, thank you so much for coming to talk to
it
us
is
about
also. So
etiquette.
I
We
think the
talked.
objective of just
Mhm,
having platform, like what you have given us, is exactly to do that, to
mhm.
bring awareness, because there are some people who say, sorry, I didn't know, who genuinely did not know. They have never heard
Yeah.
this message. To them, it is new. So
Mhm.
it's a platform to learn, as well as people tune in and hear these discussions going on. And hopefully, they will also pass the message to the extended family. Because
Yes.
Kantazidza will not dissolve.
Yes.
And
When you
before
know
you know
better,
it,
you do better.
yes, we start
Mhm.
improving in terms of our contact nema relationships, because we are more considerate nekuti tadzidziswa.
Thank you so much. And uh, tazvinzwira Dzega, zvinonzi chinozvinzwira. Munhu wese
Tiri
anga
musakasaka.
tiri musakasaka chinozvinzwira. And Yaya wataurira zvinhu very, very important. And thank you so much. It's a learning curve. We continue to learn and learn, relearn, and also educate our children. Kuti vazive
Mm,
vakure vachiziva. If your mother, I'm assuming your mother kandi yamai wangu, and I've seen zvavanoita kana vachikukudza, you could not laugh out loud. Kana mukanga muchiseka nozwa, imi vasikana muri kuchiko chiri panze apo chanyanya kunakidza. Learn to do that to your children, because
exactly,
children,
exactly.
children
Mm,
learn from my parents, mai wako nemashamwari avo nanatete wako nanambuya wako. Those people are
mhm,
they are the vanobuilda vana. Saka kana vana mai vachingoswera vachitaura vachiita loud, vana baba vachingoita zvekudhakwa, vachingoita zvekungoherereka panze zvisina nemusoro wese,
mhm,
vana learn that. And so let's be builders of our next generation and be great people, parents, and so that kids will always remember, like we are talking about our mothers. My mom has been gone 30
mhm.
years, but I will never forget those kind of things, because Joshua takakura tichidzidziswa. And he's
Exactly,
okay.
exactly.
Thank
Hmm.
you, Yaya. I will invite you again to come and talk about these kind of things. And you have a great evening. And varikutiteera makanari maskati, have a lovely afternoon. Ipanotara Baneru, have a good evening. And please like and subscribe to our channel, Kano Iwanyai, and we are always out on Saturday talking about things and talking to people, my guests who are ordinary people who are doing extraordinary stuff. From me, Sangwadzi, Spiwa Kachizama Promo. Goodbye.